All right, Buff Nation. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday evening. We are now officially less than 24 hours away from kickoff. And the Stanford Cardinal comes in to Boulder to take on our Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime. I just secured myself a couple tickets about an hour ago, so I'm excited, but I'm even more excited right now to be joined by one of the most generous creators I have met since starting here on YouTube, a fantastic creator. If you are not following him, what are you doing? Prime Sports Media, how are you doing this evening? Thanks again for your time.
Hey, hey, I want to thank you for that great introduction. Let's give it a clap, too. Let's give it a clap. I'm doing very well. To the folks that are coming in on my neck of the woods of the channel, I am connected to his stream, Dave Talk Buffs, his stream, and we're using this by way of StreamYards. And StreamYards allows you to connect to other content creators and have your stream going on at the same time. So I'm sharing his stream over to my channel, and I definitely want everybody from my channel, and I know a lot of us are sharing some of the same subscribers and people that are following this channel, definitely get over to Dave's Talk Buffs and subscribe to his channel as well. He had me on his channel before, and he's been very hospitable to me, and I thank you all that are coming in tonight.
Oh, man, well, that means so much. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. You know, we have a big time matchup, one that I don't want to see you overlooking at all right now. I think this provides a great opportunity for us to go into the bye week with some serious momentum. Initially, what are your thoughts on what you want to see from this Colorado Buffs team after getting not the cleanest win on the road, but nonetheless a very important win on the road against Arizona State, breaking a 2-game losing streak?
Let me just say this. I was happy that they won the game against Arizona State. But when I had a chance to listen to Coach Prime speak, he wasn't happy with the results. What's happening to Colorado, and I can bring up the numbers here. Yeah. Colorado has struggled in the first half, and they've allowed teams to score way too many points. Let me just break this down. Colorado has been outscored in the first half 121-72 in their opening halves. That cannot continue on, okay? But what's happening is in the second half of the game, they seem to be a second half team, but mainly because Shedeur Sanders, as he always says, goes into Brady mode, okay? Now, check this out. The Buffs have outscored their opponents 74-35 in the fourth quarter this year. So they are a second half team. But what Coach Prime is concerned about, in my estimate, is that he's concerned that they can't keep that pace up. Mm-hmm. It's going to catch up with them. And it has caught up with them when they've played what we would call more stronger opponents, an Oregon, right, or a USC. And so Shedeur taking these hits, it's a serious problem. Yes. But this is what I got to say to people out there. When you look at Stanford defense, they're trying to rebuild their program. But what I'm finding out through the research is that Stanford has allowed teams to feast on them in the second half. Down the line, right? Let me just read this to everybody. Stanford defeat has a solid early. They've been solid early this year, giving up 24 points in the first quarter. This is Stanford. But opponents have feast on the Cardinals, Stanford, in the second half. Colorado's a second half team, everybody, period. Putting up 73 points, creating defects for Stanford's offense has been unable to overcome when they are in the second half, when the other teams start to feast upon them. Check this out. Stanford is averaging just 19.2 points per game this year, which is 119th in the nation, while playing two quarterbacks, Daniels and Justin. So they've got some problems. They've got issues where they're playing multiple quarterbacks, just like Arizona State's had issues with their quarterbacks playing different people, right? Mm-hmm. We know that Colorado has a solid quarterback in Shedeur. So the way I see it, if Colorado is a second half team, there's no way that they should be losing this game. But the problem is they shouldn't just be a second half team. They got to jump on this team from the start. What do you think?
Information.
Yeah. No doubt. This is a team that, again, we've seen it with some of, I feel like, the less talented opponents that we've played. If we don't get off to a fast start and we allow them to kind of take some momentum to understand that they can stick around. It hasn't happened yet, but there could be the possibility, for a loss like this to happen where we let one get away from us. That's fantastic to know that, Stanford's weakness in the second half definitely lines up with us being with our strengths. But, this is something where I want to see us play with some urgency, not take our opponent for granted or anything like that. Come out there and dominate, because you're totally right. After this win, you could tell that Coach Prime was fed up. He was kind of at his breaking point, I feel like, with the inconsistent performances that this team has had. And if we look back at the teams that he's coached at Jackson State,
yes,
they came out aggressive. They would come out and dominate. Yes, sometimes when they have slow first half, sure. Every team does. But for the most part, they were really going in there and dominating, playing clean football. And we haven't seen the team turn the corner yet. This is going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to work and implement some of those things that we've been working on to kind of tidy up some of the weak areas of our team right now, and hopefully go into the bye week with a lot of momentum, because on paper, we should handle Stanford, but we cannot take them for granted.
Let me just let you see. Let me break something down too. Dave, I want you to guess here. How many touchdown passes do you think Stanford has on the year? We know Shedeur's got what, 16, 17? Yeah. I mean, Shedeur's up. How many touchdown passes has Stanford produced this year? Just show you just how bad their team is, and that we should be able to jump on.
I'll go 8.
No, sir. They've only produced 3 touchdowns this year so far.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, just like Arizona State, they are a 1-4 team. So what I'm saying in a nutshell, this is why Coach Prime went off like he did, because he knows that they're better than the team that they played against. Yeah. And I would expect that Coach Prime and those coaches and everybody around the country is expecting a lot more from CU in this game, because I think this is a game that they should definitely be able to run the ball better. They've been running the ball a little bit more better lately, but against this team, they should really be able to do it. And they do have some talent on this team. They do have some guys that can fly around, and they do have some receivers that can fly around, but they've been struggling themselves. So we need to go up. We need to put down our foot, okay, and force them and get something done effectively. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
Yes. I think, man, it's going to be really important, I think, for us to continue to work on establishing this run. Over the last couple weeks, we have run it more than we did, per se, our CSU, Oregon, USC stretch. We didn't run it as much against Arizona State as we did against, what was it? Who did we play before? Or USC, sorry. We ran it well against USC, 45-45, passes. But I would love for us to continue to do that, because I think this is something that we're going to get into here in a little bit. I think our offensive line plays better when there is an emphasis to establish the run, to be the aggressor. And Shedeur is most effective when he's off of play action. If we can have him throwing more play action, we're going to put up more points. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm glad that you said that because I think that's one of the reasons why Shedeur has taken the hits that he's taken because, and Coach Prime's admitted to this as well, they haven't been able to cook up their run. Now, Anthony Hankerson, if I'm saying the name correct, we know he was with the team that went 1-11. Right now, Coach Prime it seems like Coach Prime has the most confidence in him. He's the more physical back. People have been asking as much as I have about what's going on with Alton and Smoke and what's going on with all these other guys. Well, Coach Prime gave that press conference the other day and said that, hey, he's still kind of hurt. He wants to go slow with him. And I think he's being smart. But I really want to see a rotation of backs because Alton, to me, when you look at what he did on video for Houston, actually is the most talented of these backs because he can do what? Run inside, outside, catch the ball outside, just like Dylan. One of the things I got to say, and I got to get your opinion on this, I've been noticing that they've been running Dylan Edwards up the middle a lot. I just don't think personally, and this is all due respect to the coaching staff, Coach Prime and everybody, I love you, but I personally don't see Dylan Edwards as a guy who can run between the tackles. I don't think he has the size or the strength. He's at his best what he did in against TCU when he's catching the ball out in the flats, when he's running to the corners, to the outside, to utilize his speed and space. The guys that I think they should keep pounding up the middle against Stanford in this case would be Anthony. If sy'veon is not injured and he's feeling better, pound him up the middle on short yardage. This is where Alton can make a difference. I just want to see them, in my opinion, utilize running backs based on the skill set that they have.
Yes.
Not that they haven't tried, but I've seen them running Dylan. And what do you think about Dylan up the middle? Do you think that's his forte?
No. I've kind of gone back and forth thinking about this because I guess there is, this idea of wanting to keep the defense honest. But, at the same time, when Dylan Edwards is in the game, it's not like they're devoting a ton of guys there into the box. But still, when we're running like these shotgun pitches, to the outside, we've had a lot more success with him doing those sorts of things. That makes a lot of sense. I would like to see more of Smoke, kind of see a little bit more of what he showed at Kentucky, which was a very formidable SEC running back. We do have, again, I think the most talented back, Alton McCaskill. He can do everything. He could do everything that you want a running back to do. And yeah, I guess these ACLs, some people come back from them quicker than others. So I think that's wise. We're going to need him going against some of these stouter defenses like UCLA, Utah, for instance. We're going to need those guys going. But yeah, I would love to see a little bit more creativity in the run game. You've probably listened to me talk a little bit about this with some of the other guests that I've had come on, but maybe there's the possibility to integrate some, whether it's, behind the center, lining up directly behind the center the quarterback is, with a single back behind him or running pistol, just something.
Some pistol offense, some wildcat offense.
More momentum. Yeah.
Right. See, let me break some numbers down. Edwards is leading the Buffs with 217 yards on 47 carries, while Anthony Hankerson is right behind him with 214 yards on 48 carries. So you see there's some even Steven there, but the difference is we know where Dylan got most of those numbers. He got most of those numbers in the TCU game because he had a breakout game. But if you notice in the game against Arizona State, they were running Hankerson up that middle, the more physical back. I think it feels like Coach Prime has a little bit more confidence in him at this state of the game. And I just like to see, what would be nice to see, and I don't think I've seen this. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm right, if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I would like to see some two-back sets.
Yes.
What's up with the two-back? Guess what? I'd go further. Put Dylan out there in Hankerson, split them wide, and have them you know what I'm trying to say here. Mix
Yeah.
it up a little bit more so that
Oh.
you're not so predictable, because I think they've been a little predictable for some of the teams they've played against.
Yes. Again, we've seen a little bit more creativity, I think, the last couple weeks, but there's still a lot that I feel like we can be doing. Again, I feel like I'm saying this every time I get on, but Dylan Edwards was utilized in the slot and out wide so often in high school, and we've just rarely seen that right now. And there's a lot that you can do with these two back sets, or for instance, even bringing three in, getting some favorable matchups. I just saw a play earlier today when I was watching the Broncos Chiefs. The Broncos lined up in a typical shotgun formation. They spread their running back out wide and then brought Jerry Jeudy into the backfield. They got a mismatch with Jeudy against a linebacker, first down. There are some different things that we can be running with the speed that we have to just get some very favorable matchups. And I'm hoping that with the addition of Travis Hunter, with him coming back, there's going to be opportunity to take advantage, I think, of these mismatches a little bit more, because Stanford will need to devote more attention to 12.
I totally agree. You're going to definitely, if now that's provided now, do we have it on good information? Because we talked about this before we went live. We know that Travis Hunter is practicing. There's video out him going back and forth with Amarion Miller. I think that young man's going to be sensational as well.
Yes.
I want to see them both on the field at the same damn time. Is he playing tomorrow, or are we just kind of all waiting to be shocked?
I don't know if it's been official. So I could be wrong. If y'all are in the chat, I haven't had a chance to watch or listen to any of the press conferences today. Nicholas Braxton's even in here saying that it's looking like Isaiah Jada will start at guard and Kareem Harden will start at right tackle, based on what Tim Brewster said today in the pregame show. So we'll see about that.
So they're shaking up. So Braxton is saying they're going to shake up the offensive line a little bit.
Yes, which if that happens, I am in huge favor of. I assume that after what we heard Prime say after Saturday, that there just had to be some sort of change.
Okay.
We could not allow Shedeur to be hit. If we're changing it up and people are worried about the chemistry, it can't get much worse than what we've seen with him being the most sacked hit quarterback, right? What are your thoughts on potential substitution?
Well, how everybody's been talking about Tyler Brown.
Yes.
And what happened to him, and if he was on the team, what a difference he could make. But we have to deal with reality. The NCAA did what they did. I don't agree with it, but I think they got to shake this offensive line up. And I want to say this, and I want to say shout out to Big Dog Chico and shout out to Coach Hayes. They had a hell of a show the other night ago, and they were getting into a back and forth debate about the offensive line. And Big Dog Chico, his position is that they need to get in the film room, they need to study the video more, and what have you, right? Coach Hayes' attitude was that, or most of the people that were calling in his show, their attitude was that they're just not physically gifted to execute what the coaches want them to do, because people were debating about whether it was coaching or whether it's just the player's talent level or whether they just need to get in the film room and do more study. I'm going to just say this. Because it's not really a difficult argument to make. I think that you can teach people all the techniques that you want to teach them. I believe you can put people, I played sports growing up myself. You can teach people all the techniques, all the film work, and say, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. But this is what you can't teach. And y'all can correct me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think you can teach people to be tough. I just don't think people, you either have dog in you or you have no dog in you. Meaning you can say, get down in the right stance and do A, B, and C, but the player himself has to have some kind of a, for lack of a better word, he's got to have a beast in him. He has to be willing to say, I'm going to knock that other guy over. That starts in the heart. Yeah. And that starts with the will to do it. And sometimes you can have guys who are big, who have size, but they just may not have the will to overcome the challenge of another man. And football is probably the only sport outside of boxing that tests the will of a man.
Yes. No doubt. I think that, man, I think it's kind of a little bit of a combination of what Coach Hayes and Chico said, I think that we could be doing some better things in the film room in terms of protection responsibilities. I mean, you've seen different stunts, cause hella issues for this offensive line at different points. And that has to go with communication and understanding what's happening. But again, we've also seen instances of pretty much everybody on this line has had their instance of just having their butt whooped right on the snap at certain points. I think our interior line at the guard positions have struggled with this the most consistently, and that's why I'm in more favor of seeing some of those some other guys kind of see what they can do. Tyler Brown measures, again, this is the website, measures 6'3", 310, on CU's roster. Jack Wiltie, who started against TCU at right guard, who I thought had a pretty good game.
Yes.
6'4", 310. We have a left guard right now. We'll see if he plays or not, depending on what Nicholas Braxton was saying. That's, I think 6'3", 280, which is a significant size difference. And even if these guys aren't fully there, I guess, when it comes to being pros, I guess, when it comes to, perfect in the film room, understanding what's coming at them every time, at least you can fall back on a little bit more size when you need to.
Right. I think, let's say this. Everybody was wondering about Kamani McLean, what's going on with him. People were probably wondering about Amarion Miller. What happened? Coach Prime put them in the game because they were the next man up. There was injuries. Yep. And what they did is they showed you that they can play. What my prediction is, or my hopes, is that these new offensive linemen, these new guys that he's putting into the game, maybe, just maybe, they might show us something that we have not seen. And maybe Coach Prime and the coaching staff will say, these guys can play. And let's just maybe say that they're going to be an improvement to the offensive line. I want to say this. I said this on a stream of mine, and someone left me a comment and said, well, can you tell me where this is real? This is what I'm going to say. I'm not saying that practice is not important. You got to practice. You got to know your assignments if you're going to play for Coach Prime. We've learned that already. But I got to say this. I grew up playing basketball, played in high school. I was going to play in college. I grew up around a lot of athletes. And I'm not going to lie to you. There are some guys who they step on the practice field or the court, and they just are not great practice guys, meaning they don't flash. I'm not saying that they don't practice and shoot. I played basketball, so shooting or moving around, but they just don't jump off the page in practice. Then you put them in a game, and all of a sudden they jump out the gym. They jump off the grass. And maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying that they should not practice and all of that, so don't get this wrong, folks. But just maybe there's a chance that Amarion Miller, and Kamani McLean, just maybe they might just be those type of guys who they may not be the best practice players at right now because they're young. They're going to learn. Coach Prime's going to teach them how to practice better. They're going to learn. But maybe when they in the game, it all, boom, There are people that are like that. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't practice, folks, but let's keep that in mind. There's some people that play better when the lights are brightest.
Yes, facts. And that's why I was never worried about Cormani. You turn on the tape of what he did in high school, you know he has the talent. And it was fantastic to see him get his opportunity on the field. And I mean, even at the end of the Oregon game, or during the Oregon game, I mean, coming up with that big time touchdown saving tackle on that fake punt, that would have gone for a touchdown had he not caught up to that guy. Or at the end, forcing that fumble on that just textbook tackle. Then you saw him have his moments against USC where he was batting down passes. Caleb Williams stayed away from him, man. I think he only completed one pass against him that game. And then you saw Coach Prime talk about Omari Miller, another guy who he said hadn't flashed it in practice. We have these dogs that, again, when the lights are bright, when the moment is its biggest, we see these guys rise to the occasion. I just have a feeling that there are some dogs in this offensive line group that can rise to the occasion. We have more size. We have more strength. I'm excited to see some other guys get out here, hopefully tomorrow night, and showcase what we can do, because how I have kind of felt is continuing to do the same thing over and over again is just the definition of insanity. And Shedeur, outside of, really USC, we kind of kept him more upright, but he's been getting hit every single time rolling out what we're doing. And somebody in the comments brought up is that since Oregon, we've seen more pressure brought, we've seen more blitzes as well. And, that's created an issue with keeping him upright. ASU was bringing guys at different points as well. So,
but keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. I think that CU should continue that trend. You know why? They got the most sacks on the quarterback this season in that one game. What was it? 5.
Yeah.
I think they got to the quarterback 5 times in that game. Various individuals got made things happen. I think what is it? Cooper. Is it a Cooper who's playing cornerback who's playing stepping up for Hunter?
Yeah.
I think he's a Marion Cooper, right? I got the name correct. I hope I got Marion Cooper. He came in there and got a corner sack on the quarterback, came out off the corner and dropped out of his position. And someone, I think the safety or someone dropped down and into that coverage. I want to see more of those sort of things. You know why? Because I think at this stage of the game, CU needs to be more aggressive.
Yes.
Defensively.
Yes.
I want to see, Shedeur is leading, I think, with 37 tackles. He's leading the Pac-12 in tackles as a safety. I want to see Shedeur drop into the box to help out with that running game. I'm not saying that he's not doing it, but I want to see more.
Well, Shiloh, yes.
Shiloh. I'm sorry. Excuse me, folks. I have Shiloh. I always have a problem. I say their names interchangeably. It's a problem I have. Yeah, you guys got to excuse me, but I'm talking about Shiloh. You get what I'm saying. Shiloh.
Yes. And we kind of saw this against Oregon too. Of course, they brought the physicality, but what really, popped off the TV, I guess, for me was just the utilization of their speed on defense. And I think that there's more that we can be doing, especially we're getting Des Moines Kennedy back, at linebacker. Ooh. I think we'll see him play, that would be phenomenal to see. I think that, with Bishop too, we could be running some interesting, stunts or different rushes with him as well, pairing him up with, some different edge rushers. I just think that there's still a lot that we can do, but you're right with the speed that we have in the secondary. I would like to see a little bit more of that aggressiveness. And, to your point on just, we have guys that are gamers, Cameron Silman Craig, a guy that wasn't starting, that barely played against TCU. He comes in and fills in for Miles Slusher, and we can't take him off the field. He has been fantastic, leading the pack in interceptions right now.
Right.
3. We got more guys that can
but he's been one of the guys that has made the right plays when we need him. Let me just say, everybody out there watching the program tonight, definitely everyone that's watching over on my neck of the woods, I have attached by way of StreamYards to Dave's Talk Buffs. This is his stream tonight. I've attached my channel to the stream. So we're broadcasting on both channels. I want everyone to subscribe to his channel. Check him out. He does great content over there. Great work. And so to everyone that's watching in my neck of the woods, thank you for coming over. I've just attached to his broadcast tonight by way of StreamYards. And we're talking about this matchup between Stanford and CU and what we see are the impacts so far. Now, you said that Cameron Craig, he's been a pleasant surprise, but I got to ask you this question. You may know more about this than I do. You're out there. Remember he got a big hit on one of the players. Is he out? What's his status? Because he did not look good after putting that hit on that guy.
Yes. It seemed like he hurt his shoulder or his arm or something like that. Yeah, because he was walking off with it just kind of dangling there. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, y'all let me know in the chat if you guys have seen him in a yellow jersey or anything like that. I have not, so I would assume that he's playing. But again, with college, we don't get the injury reports,
right?
So
right,
they
don't tell us.
Yeah, but yeah, he would. Man, it would suck. It would suck to lose him. It would be great to see this secondary, at full strength with Travis coming back. It was great seeing Carter out there still coming back from that ankle a little bit. Obviously Omarion, Demoy Kennedy back. So, it would be great to hit, everybody come back healthy, play a good, clean game this Friday, and then have 2 weeks to prep for UCLA. Because, man, we're going to need those 2 weeks. I think going into Pasadena and getting an upset out there, we're going to need everybody healthy. We're going to need our offensive line playing better, and we're going to need some creative sets that Chip Kelly hasn't been able to see on tape yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that the UCLA game is going to be one of their biggest challenges. Yeah. Chip Kelly is experienced. Remember, Chip Kelly was the one who was responsible for blowing Oregon up with their whole spread offense. It was Chip Kelly who was the architect of all of that up there in Oregon, or one of them, right? The reason why I think it's difficult because they're playing really good football right now. The Rose Bowl is a tricky place to play when you're playing against UCLA at their best. There's probably going to be an electric crowd out there. So what I'm saying is I'm not saying that they can't beat them. I just think it's going to be one of those games similar to the game that they had with USC, a nick and tuck game, because we're talking about conference play and these teams they're all showing up. And I'm sure they're looking at, how can we glaringly attack Colorado? Let me just say this. I want to bring up the issue of Xavier Weaver. And Xavier Weaver has 43 receptions for 507 yards on the season. The man is doing the damn thing. But this is my concern, Dave. We got to break this down. Teams are double teaming him. Shador has said it himself. This is how do you break the double? Well, how do you break the double team? I think. I'm not a football coach, but damn it, let's look at what's happening in the NFL with my 49ers and a lot of teams. They're doing a lot of motion shifts. I think that they need to motion their wide receivers, move Weaver around, move him in a slot. I think if you put him in a slot, he could do serious damage. What do you think? Move him around. That's how you can negate some of that. If y'all agree with me, put a 7 in the chat room.
I'm right there with you. The use of motion, again, like why do we see up-tempo happen so often? Because it can make the defense communicate incorrectly, break down, there to be holes, busted coverages for you to take advantage of. And if you're not wanting to run, because there's some disadvantages to running hurry up all the time, especially if your drive spurts out quickly, puts your defense at risk. But running motion allows you to understand what types of coverages you're getting and get the mismatches that you need and understand where your hot read is at. We haven't been doing that enough, especially with the pressure coming.
Now check this out. What was one of the reasons why CU was so successful against TCU? What happened? When they came out they ran up-tempo offense. Almost like every time Shedeur hiked the ball, they were in a 2-minute offense. If you notice against ASU and even USC, even though they had some problems down the stretch with some play calls that really made me question a lot. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Thank you for being here. And make sure you subscribe to Dave's Talking Buffs. He's the one that invited me onto this platform, to his platform tonight. And he said, hey, go ahead and broadcast it on your channel. So we're doing a simulcast here. But look, Dave, if you notice in that game, why they were effective, because they ran that 2-minute style offense. They're more effective in a 2-minute offense. Why not run that a lot? Speed the tempo up. Move these receivers around. Move Jimmy Horn around. Get them in. Take Dylan Edwards. Have him move out in motion. Hell, bring Hankerson and have two running backs in slots. Maybe try 2 tight ends. Try different concepts. Because when you know that these teams are trying to go against your offensive line that has had some deficits, what do? Confuse the offense by motioning, moving your players around, which, like you said already, it will let you know what the defense is playing in.
You saw what Kenny Dillingham, he was doing that to the extreme with the less talented guys last week. His use of motion gave our defense so much anxiety and fits.
Right, but this was scared me though, Dave. The crossing route. I guarantee you Stanford's been watching the video and they're going to come out throwing crossing routes. We've got to fix that. We cannot
physical on the lines. That's what I think. I think we got to do that with the guys that we have that can lock up. I would like to see more physical press coverage for those guys.
That's where someone like Kamadi McLean comes in. He has that ability to play. But see, this is the thing. If we get a surprise by having Travis Hunter play. Now, let me read this. I'm going to read a quote from Coach Prime. But after watching him practice this week, Coach Prime said there's a tremendous, you know how he uses those words. He says there's a tremendous chance he could play. It goes by how he looks, how he is performing in practice, and how his win is, meaning his conditioning. And we already saw a video that's been leaked out by Darius Sanders. I'm going to go on a limb here. Don't be surprised, folks, if we hear Travis Hunter's name called. If you put him out there, that allows him to do more of that man-to-man coverage, because he can take over a whole side of the football field and say, I got him.
Yeah, he changes everything. Him and Cormani going up against some of these wide receivers that are trying to run these crossing routes, they're able to just bump them, to hold them, within those first 5 yards. That's going to disrupt everything. I would like to see our secondary play a little bit more physical. Again, I understand, that there can be a risk, to play in, press, then it can leave you to be exposed over the top. But we're not going up against Caleb Williams in this game. We need to be the aggressor. We need to set the tone, and we need to knock these receivers off of their routes immediately.
Let me just break some things down here. We can do some damage to them. Third down efficiency. Now we're 41-94 in third down efficiency. They're 30-75. That's Stanford. Yards per attempt. Colorado is 7.8 yards per attempt, everybody. Stanford is 6.9, okay? Net passing yards per game. Colorado is 37.2, while Stanford is 194.8. Wow. Now, rushing. We're sort of in the same bag in the rushing. Rushing attempts is 2.5 for Colorado, 3.8 for Stanford. And touchdowns. Stanford only has 6 touchdowns that they've scored on the season. And I told you before that their quarterbacks have only thrown 3 touchdowns. I think, without any cockiness here, that we could thrash this team. We could do some damage to. I think we should go. We should be able to, amongst our own crowd. I think you should see a blowout. I think Colorado should be able to blow this team off the floor, and it shouldn't come just in the second half.
Facts.
The numbers. We got to clean. I got to ask you this question. We got to clean this stuff up here. We're at 72 when it comes to penalties. They're at 58. That's Stanford. They're at 51. That's Stanford. We've got a serious problem with penalties, which actually has hurt us and given the other team points. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, this is getting into one thing that I really wanted your opinion on. Is not only have we had kind of turnover type mistakes in a very important phase, the third phase, special teams, but we've had some killer penalties, especially last week. Two kicks out of bounds, so they're starting at they just need to get 1 first down, then they're there at midfield. We've seen personal fouls on kickoff and punt coverage. We've seen, I think we've done a little bit better of a job with the holding calls and stuff like that, but we have still seen pre-snap penalties. We still had false starts going on against our in our last home game against USC. So these are things that we have to clean up. I think we've seen it get better since we had 12 penalties against Oregon. I think we might have had 8 against USC, and then I want to say 6 last week. So hopefully we can tread in the right direction here. Keep a very minimal, penalized game going for us next week. But how do you correct this, man? Because we're going up against a gauntlet after the bye week. Special teams has to be a net positive for us moving forward.
I think a lot of these penalties are frustration driven. Think about it. They've been down in a lot of games where they've had to come from behind. And this is just normal in sports when you start being behind, because think about it. When they beat TCU the way they beat TCU, people said that was the most cleanest game that they've ever seen from a team that's just been assembled in a short time, right? I think they only had 6 penalties in that game. But what was the difference? They were dominating that game. They were winning that game. So when you're feeling good and you're playing good, there's less time for you to do little cheap things because you're winning. No frustration. You're happy. Less penalties. But the last few games that they've struggled in, I think a lot of these penalties are out of frustration. And let's be honest, that game against Colorado State, that was a nasty game. Colorado came out there and tried to put the wood on us. It was a back and forth, nasty, I think dirty game in some cases, right? But I think a lot of that is frustration. I think guys are frustrated that they're down by points, they're losing, things are not working out, and that's when people get what? Undisciplined. You start making behaving in ways that's not disciplined because frustration starts to set in. But this is the thing. Coach Prime, I'm sure, has given them a good talking to that he's not going to accept that. And I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm willing to say that they're going to come out and you're going to see less penalties, less crazy stuff from Stanford, from CU, excuse me. Yeah. Because I think Coach Prime has really gotten into their head the way he's come out and he's been very critical of the football team as well as his coaches. I think you're going to see something different in this game.
Man, let's hope so, man. I think the way that Andre Hart spoke the other day, that might have been yesterday, it has been clearly communicated, not only to the players, but also to the coaches that there needs to be a more sense or more of an attention to detail, a sense of urgency, and desire. I think, again, man, I get confused about this. We just need to start off being the aggressor in the first half, especially at home. We have not done that. We have let up, drives that have scored, for our opponent when they start out with the ball their first game. we've had drives just sputter out where we feel like we're going through the motions. I thought a lot of the play calls, for instance, against USC were just fine, but they weren't executed well. And we're not coming out with any sort of speed, sense of urgency. That needs to change. I'm hoping that this can be, the turning point for us to correct some of those issues, to play with that intensity, because at home, this should be an opportunity where we can get out to a lead and sustain that. We haven't played with a lead, really at all. I mean, maybe just a few quarters, because I think that game against Nebraska was tied 0-0 maybe, right, or for most of that first half.
But let's be honest here, though. One of the reasons why is because of the lack of the running game. Remember, the running game can take time off the clock. Yep. You can eat away at everything. It also starts to what you want to do is you want to keep the defense honest. So now you don't become one-dimensional, because now the defense has to say, we've got to watch their run. What that does for Shedeur Sanders is now he can do some play action, which will open up the passing game. I think, and people may agree or disagree with me, I think all the problems that they've been having in terms of connecting with his receivers, everything is predicated not only to the offensive line, but also a lack of dedication to the running game. Now let's be honest here. Okay. They had their best running statistics when they played against USC. Their running statistics were pretty decent, for what they were against ASU. But the facts of the matter is, as long as they don't continue employing the running game, I predict that Shedeur is going to continue to get sacked. He's going to continue to have problems, which can open him up for injury, which we don't want to see. It's going to make it difficult for him to get the ball to the weapons on the outside. They've got to get themselves into the mindset that they're going to run the ball to control the game and time of possession. That's another thing that we fail to also recognize, the time of possession that the other teams are getting. And I got to be honest, I read these stats. I'm sorry. We've got to improve our third down efficiency.
Yes.
That is a problem.
And we'll be better with Travis on the field, because he is Shedeur's security blanket on third down. I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm pretty sure, you might have to look this up to correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure our most efficient third down games have been the games that Travis has played in.
Oh, yeah. Well, the TCU game is a perfect blueprint, in my estimation, that CU, Coach Prime and the coaches, the players need to get back to that style of game. Another which is why I'm glad that they got the young man Bradford, who may be coming in, the edge rusher. They've got to get some. This is another thing too. They've got to get pressure on the opposition's quarterback on Stanford. I want to see Mans. I want to see these guys that they brought in. Somebody's got to jump off the page and do something here. That's another problem. The quarterbacks that they're going against are getting, like at ASU, he got way too much time. They got him. Now they sacked him 5 times, folks. Yes, they did. They got to him 5 times sacks, but they need more pressure because, everybody is talking about the defense and the secondary giving up a lot of points. Tell me if I'm wrong or right, Dave, and everyone listening. The secondary can only be as good as the upfront defense. If the defensive line is getting pressure on the quarterback, that only can help and make the secondary look better. But if you don't have a defensive line that gets enough pressure, I don't care who you have in the backfield. You can have Dion himself. Yeah. The longer they're out there on an island, someone's going to be open, and sooner or later, when the defensive line is not getting enough pressure and the quarterback's got all this time to go get a sandwich, use the bathroom, and then throw the ball.
Yes. I mean, that's why you saw the Arizona State quarterback. I always forget his name. He carved us up, man, for 3 quarters almost, we were able to get some more pressure in the second half, which I think, again, credit to Coach Mo. I think we were a much better conditioned team than Arizona State, and that's why we were able to come back. One of the main reasons why we were. But you're totally right. Another guy who I've had on the show a couple times, Rahai Media, he's talked about this too. You can't expect the secondary to be covering guys for 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds.
You
Sometimes
can't.
it doesn't matter how good you are. That just
You can't.
cannot happen.
No, you can't do it because the quarterback's he's getting too much time to look at all of his options. You want to get pressure on the quarterback soon as possible to cut down his options and make him throw the ball off timing. That opens the door for the secondary to get interceptions, to break up passes. So all these things it's like an instrument. Everything has to work in perfect harmony.
Yeah.
And we just got to be honest about that. We got to be honest about how Coach Prime built this team. He built it outside in. He built it with the skilled players that were available. Okay. And another thing, I said this on my own channel too. We have to also realize, as much as we want to criticize the offensive line or give constructive criticism, is that the offensive line is the hardest thing to build on a football team. It's the heart of a football team. And when you put together a team so quickly like this, it's very difficult for an offensive line to have chemistry together. It takes time.
Yep.
I hate to say it. This is why the lineup change might be the best thing. Maybe the line, as it was comprised with those starters, they may not have had the best chemistry for some reason. Maybe these new guys that are going to be employed this Friday, maybe they will have better chemistry, and maybe we will see some things that will surprise us. Who knows?
Yes. I mean, again, it can't get much worse. I feel like there's a lot higher of a probability that that the line can play better with some of this. These guys are going to be pumped up to go out there, just like we've had guys like Cameron Silman Craig take their opportunity to start and not let go of it. Make plays to where you just cannot take the man off the field unless it's due to injury or something like that. But there was another thought that I wanted to share with you about getting pressure on the quarterback. Some people in the chat have brought up, like, to help with the crossing routes, having that pressure up the middle, specifically collapsing that pocket should be very helpful. Another thing that Rawhide and I have talked a little bit about is just maybe the idea of mixing in some more aggressive blitz schemes, because again, I do think we got the guys to go man, especially with a quarterback, some of these quarterbacks who are not elite, where, hey, fine, we'll make them beat us, throwing against Travis or Cormani if we're bringing 6. What's the point of bringing 3 if we're not getting pressure and those wide receivers are going to get open anyways because we can't cover for 10 seconds. I would like to see more aggressiveness when it comes to sending more blitzes at these quarterbacks.
I think that you're going to see it tomorrow.
Okay.
You know why? Because there was some effectiveness against ASU. Even though it was a nick and tuck game down to the end, you saw them employ that, which means they played a little bit better in that area with more sacks. Mm-hmm. So when you look at this Stanford team, which is struggling offensively themselves, I wouldn't be surprised if you see that same game plan. And if Travis Hunter is in the lineup, then they're going to employ that even more, or they at least have the option now because he can cover 1-to-1.
Yes.
And this is and so look, Coach Prime has said this time and time again. If you give Shedeur time to throw the ball, he can do it. And I made this comparison. I want to get your thoughts on this. If you gave Shedeur the offensive line that USC has right now, just USC's, the offensive line that Caleb Williams is playing behind.
Yeah.
When you look at how he's leading the country, don't you think that his numbers would be off the chart if he had that type of offensive line that gave him that type of time?
I agree with you, which is crazy because his line isn't anything to write home about either. But you're totally right.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you're totally right. We are a tier right now. We are a tier below what Caleb Williams has had to deal with at USC. You're totally right about that. And yeah, if we can just get up to even average, protection, I feel like it's a game changer. I do want to answer this question here as we're
Okay.
talking about the defense here too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Said, how was Arizona State able to march down the 96 yards, score a TD at the end of the game? Because we took our foot off the gas. We didn't play any aggressive defense. We weren't blitzing. Our corners and DBs were playing 10, 11, 12 yards off coverage. We made that drive easy. Same with the drive at the end of the first half. Yes. Did we kick it out of bounds, I believe? Yes. They were starting with a little bit better of a field position, but to me, that was inexcusable that they were able to go down and get a field goal with less than a minute left. And it's because, there's a reason, man, why everybody hates these prevent defenses, man.
Right.
They might take time off the clock, but they do not, they don't prevent you from scoring, man, or the opposition from scoring.
That could be the reason why Coach Prime during the press conference said that it was not just the players, it's also coaches. If the coaches are calling these plays and they're playing soft zone,
yep,
prevent, that's a problem. This is my thing. I don't think that CU can afford to play soft zone. They've been in the fight of their life in each game that they played in. Why are we playing soft zone? Let's stop it. And we definitely cannot play that type of soft defense when we play against Utah. I'm telling you, we're going to get we get a bye after this game, which is good. CU gets a bye after this game, right?
Correct.
You know what? It's a much needed bye. Why? Because Oregon State ain't no joke, folks. Mm-hmm. So this game against Stanford should be a tune-up for us to employ all types of techniques to get ready for Oregon State. And guess what?
UCLA and Oregon State, I think. Sorry.
Is it? Wait a minute. Where's my skit? So wait a minute. They play UCLA first after this game, right?
Yeah. I'll pull it up for us. But I forget.
But do they? Yeah, because there's so much going on. But is it a bye after this game?
Correct. Yes.
That's helpful for them.
Yes.
That means that gives them almost 2 weeks to prepare for UCLA. Mm-hmm. But this is the question.
Oregon State right after.
Okay, they get Oregon State at Folsom Field, right? And Boulder.
Yep. UCLA on the road, Oregon State, Arizona at home, Washington State on the road, and then Utah on the road.
God, I wish they were playing Utah at home because Utah is a hell of a place to play in that stadium. But okay, we're looking at. Let me read something to folks right here. Bowl eligibility. Do you realize that Colorado is just 2 wins away from becoming bowl eligible? Something that would be huge given the fact that they were 1-11. So if they win this game tomorrow night, that puts them at 5-2, still in contention in the conference itself. And if they could beat UCLA and upset them, that puts them at 6-2.
Yes. And then, for some of us that still got a little money with them, also, winning the 7 games plus, I think Arizona. I mean, 4 out of their last 5 games are against ranked opponents. Arizona's the only one that's not ranked. So if we're able to get that win against UCLA, man, I really feel like anything's possible. But the key is this team has to turn the corner in terms of, playing with that attention to detail, the cleanness, the sense of urgency. If they can do those things, like we've seen them have those spurts for like a quarter and a half or, 2 quarters. If they can do that, like I think they should have a chance, to take care of business in all these games. The issue is that we haven't seen that consistency yet. I hope we can turn the corner this week. Because we can't play how we have played for instance, against Arizona State or CSU, and expect to win a game against any of these ranked opponents we have coming up.
No, and that's why I think that bye will get them healthy, at least give them time to prepare for UCLA, all the ins and outs, get acclimated. I think the UCLA game is key. They can win that game. It changes their confidence, changes the tide. And if they win that game, they'll go against Oregon State at home, and their confidence will be even greater.
Yes.
That they know that they can go in and beat Oregon State at home. Now, Oregon State's not a joke, but the UCLA game, I believe, is a catalyst to opening up the door to greater confidence that can lead to greater things. So.
Oh, yeah. And again, we talked about this in the preseason. I'll have to start wrapping up here in a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
But this has been something that we really haven't seen, but I felt like this defense would perform better, if they were playing teams that were having to come back from behind, if CU was playing with a lead, if we are able to get off to a fast start on the offensive side of the ball, put some pressure on these offenses to where they have to throw.
Yes.
There's potential for our defense to be putting out much better performances when they're able to kind of fall back, I feel like, into their strengths, which again, I feel like is going to be blitzing, playing man coverage. They're having to test Travis Hunter in our secondary. You don't want to do that. Our secondary is great. When we get a little bit of pressure. So that I think that's going to be something that if we're gonna get all these wins here after the bye, we have to be getting early leads. In order for that to happen, we can't be expecting double-digit comebacks in the second half all the time. I would love it, for theatrics, and I mean, who doesn't love another Tom Brady mode comeback? But we can't play with fire for too long before we start getting burned by it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would like to see a game where it's not always on the wire, that we take a lead and we just keep the team down.
Yeah.
But let's hope. Well, I don't hope. I think they can handle Stanford. I think they can handle Stanford. I think we're going to see something that they can build upon. And we're looking at a 5-2 team. That's my prediction. And we'll see how it all works out. It's a tough season, but they got that bye coming up. Even if Travis doesn't play tomorrow night, I think Coach Prime says he could get him ready for after the bye, but I think he's going to give us a surprise tomorrow night. Another thing that you hear, I know we're getting ready to wrap this up, but did you hear that Coach Prime's not very happy about them playing this Friday night game? He doesn't like the Pac-12 schedule in particular. There was a rumor that he said he's actually glad that they're going to the Big 12 because he doesn't like this Friday night game stuff. Let me put my laugh stuff on. But so
my ears.
So yeah, I thought he's kind of critical of the scheduling and way it is with that. But it is what it is. The bottom line is, as they say, just win, baby, just win.
Yeah. And man, again, Prime Sports Media, this is. Yes, we're talking a lot about what needs to be corrected. How can we improve? But y'all don't lose sight of this. This is the funnest I've ever had, man, watching football.
I am too.
And it's so fun because, who would have thought the most fun that I would have watching a football team isn't a team that's just mauling through everybody, national title favorites right now or anything like that. This team is a work in progress, but it is one of the most compelling, fun stories to be a part of, to watch and enjoy every week. And we're going to see some players step up, man. We've seen this every game. New guys stepping up, having their moments. Let's end with this. Who are, a few guys or a couple guys that you would like to see have their moment tomorrow night? Well,
I said it in the video that I produced. I want to see, I kept saying that I think think that Shallow's going to have a breakout year. Looks like he is having a breakout year. You know that Shallow, along with Amarion Cooper, are leading in tackles of, I think it was 32 tackles, 14 sacks this year. This is incredible stuff. I want to see Shallow really have a breakout night tomorrow. I want to see him get another interception, return it. I want to see Dylan Edwards do what he did against TCU. He's been a little dormant lately. I want to see him have a breakout game. I think Jimmy Horn needs to show out a little bit here. And we need Weaver to come back alive. Yep. So, and I'm going to make another bold prediction. I think Shedeur can put up 500 yards against Stanford, just like he did against TCU. 500 yards, everybody. Who wants to take that one? 500 yards. But that would mean that the receivers are showing up and showing out.
Yes.
I'm saying it right now. He's going to put up close to 500 yards tomorrow night. Watch him do his thing. Oh. I think they can slice and dice Stanford.
Well, then,
let's thank you.
Let's keep this in mind. The single game touchdown record is 7. Shedeur could break that with 8. I would love to see him break every single CU record, career season, single game wise. 510, he already set the single game passing yard record against TCU. But man, would I love to see him break that. A couple other guys that I would love to see have their moments. Travis Hunter get his first touchdown in black and gold. I would love to see that this week. And a guy that we talked about a little bit to open up the show, I'd like to see Alton McCaskill get a touchdown. I think that would be an amazing thing. I'd like to see him get a little bit of work, but I think the biggest things that I'm going to be paying attention to this time is, will special teams contribute to the win? And how do these new offensive line replacements look? Do we have a little bit more attitude, ferociousness, just dog on our offensive line? I want to see some bullying going on there.
Well, I'm going to be watching tomorrow, just like you, to see if the new additions make a difference. I'm hoping and crossing my hand that they do make a difference. We need to pay attention to this going forward. You said special teams. Outside of Meta, I'm concerned about the other kicking personnel on this team.
Yeah.
We cannot afford to be kicking these little skimpy kicks and giving these teams great field position, which is what, if you think about it, we could have come back and beaten USC. Remember that one kick? The kicker took too long. Just think that could have made, these can make the difference. So that's got to be cleaned up. That special teams can do us in real bad. And so let's see how that plays out tomorrow.
You're right about it. Special teams was responsible for a 10-point swing against USC. We lost by 7 points. So again, they need to start contributing to the wins rather than having it be something else that Shedeur Sanders needs to overcome,
right?
And to get these wins. But I'll sign us off with this. If our baby Ralphie, who has been a little bit inconsistent on when she wants to get out there and run, some days she wants to do it, other days she don't. I'll say, man, if Ralphie's 6, if she gets her butt off to midfield there for that first half run to open up the game, I think that's going to be a good omen for us. We need to get Ralphie out there having a strong run. If she can have a strong run, then I think our team will come out the gates very aggressive and put on a good show for us tomorrow. So again, information, man, Prime Sports Media, always appreciate your time. This just flies by. Always gracious, for your time, all your advice and wisdom to helping me grow my channel. It means the world to me. Y'all, if you're coming from my channel, you gotta listen to Prime Sports Media.
Thank you.
To his channels in my description. please support what he's doing because he's
Right.
one of my favorite content creators. So
with that, and let me say this to everybody on my side that's watching, come on over to Dave's Talk Buffs. Subscribe to his channel. I will put a link to his channel in the description of this video right after we end this. I'll pop that in there as soon as I can. Subscribe to his channel. He does great work over here, great interviews. And I got to also say this. I know that you had Life in Football. You had him up here. You've been talking to him. I'm going to be getting him on my channel as well. You guys do great talk together. And I saw the picture. You guys met in person. That was fantastic. I plan to come out there, one of these days too. I don't know if I can get out there because those tickets are gone, man. I can't. You can't get your hands on one, but we'll meet in person someday soon when I get out there, because this whole thing that Prime is creating. Remember, folks, let's leave you with this. Remember, Prime said to all of us, if you can't see what's going on, you're out of your mind. You're either crazy or a hater. This team is going to get better. And you got transfers and other young men that are coming, that are watching what's going on. Sky's the limit for CU. Sky's the limit.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Oh man, I love it so much. I want to let everybody know I'm going to have Jake Schwanitz from DNVR on my show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Oh,
so
cool.
If you're following DNVR, this is going to be a really fun interview, and we'll take some super chat questions at the end. So be thinking of some funny things, man, if you want to ask them, get to know them. But with that being said, what can my viewers who are coming over, checking out your channel for the first time, Prime Sports Media, be looking forward to seeing from you here in the near future?
Well, near future, I will, because tomorrow is going to be a late game tomorrow. I will be doing a post-game show, or probably early Saturday morning sometime. So be on the lookout for a post-game show after what takes place tomorrow in this upcoming game. And then I've got a lot of other content coming your way in terms of other issues around CU. And of course, I'm going to be getting Life in Football on the channel and interviewing Life in Football. But you know what'd be great? I want to see this is my goal. I would like to see an all-star cast of all of us, Life in Football, Big Dog, Chico, a bunch of us on a panel together, a super panel, like the Avengers. Yeah, I would love to see that. And I think the audience would love to see all of us collaborating our thoughts on a super panel. That's what I call it, a super panel. But anyway, thank you. Yeah, get all these guys. I know a few people that's doing. I know a few folks that's doing content they're doing pretty good too. Get everybody together and just shoot the breeze over what we're seeing. That would be great. That would be great to do that.
Man, that might be something to do during the bye week. Instead of watching a game, we're just getting on, having a conversation.
Or, like I said, they're only 2 wins away from a bowl game. That might be something to do prior to a bowl game that they might get invited to. You know what I'm saying? And break down our analysis.
And we can do another one for the Heisman ceremony, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all sort of things we could throw around. It's all kind of stuff. So, but everybody, it's been great tonight. I appreciate everyone watching. And you inviting me to come on board. And thank God for StreamYards that allows us to broadcast these types of shows to our various channels. I think that was great that StreamYard provided that ability.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wins this way. It helps open up the conversation, helps us meet new people. And, man, this whole thing has just been so fun. So, again, God bless you, Information Man. Thank you so much for everything. We'll talk again soon. And as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and Sco Buffs.
Sco Buffs.
All right.